The Astronomer and the Curse of the Crimson Star. In the heart of Baghdad, in a time when knowledge was both a treasure and a sin, a young man named Shihab stood on the roof of his small observatory. He was not a prince or a knight, but a young astronomer, whose eyes saw in the stars poems of light and secrets of time. And on that night, while observing a rare meteor shower, he saw something that made his heart freeze. A single star, larger and brighter than the rest, did not burn and fade, but fell from the sky like a tear of fire, and landed in the vast desert outside the city walls. The next day, his irresistible curiosity led him to the crash site. And in the middle of a smoking crater, he did not find a charred black rock, but a piece of crimson crystal, pulsing with a faint light like a sleeping heart. And as soon as he touched it with his fingertips, he cried out and fell to his knees. It was not heat, but a vision. A horrifying vision of his city of Baghdad drowning in a sea of demise, with people falling in the streets, their faces marked with crimson spots like the very kisses of death itself. But he was not alone. From behind the sand dunes, a group of desert thieves on camels appeared, shouting with greed, "The jewel is ours." And on the opposite side, an old witch with a wrinkled face and eyes gleaming with malice was flying in the air on a carpet of black smoke, crying out, "The stone of eternal youth is mine." Shihab leaped onto his horse and galloped away at full speed, the crystal in his bag. A frantic chase began in the middle of the desert. The thieves were shooting arrows at him, and the witch was hurling fireballs. Shihab managed to unhorse one of the thieves with a clever trick, and to make another's camel collide with a large rock. And while the last thief was about to catch him, the witch swooped down on him and turned him to dust. Shihab took advantage of her being distracted by fighting the rest of the thieves and escaped towards the walls of Baghdad. So, was this star a gift from the heavens or a curse from the abyss? And how will a poor astronomer convince an entire kingdom that he has seen its dark future? Stay with us to discover that the most dangerous battles are not those fought with swords, but those fought against ignorance and fear. Shihab ran to the Caliph's palace, his heart pounding so hard it could almost break his ribs. He requested an audience with the Caliph on a matter concerning the fate of the kingdom. But the one who met him was the Grand Vizier, Jafar. Jafar was an old man with a white beard and eyes as sharp as dagger blades. He hated science and scholars, seeing them as a threat to his authority, which he had built on spreading superstition and fear among the people. Shihab presented the crimson crystal and told his story with ragged breaths. Jafar looked at the crystal, and a look of greed and malice gleamed in his eyes. He took the crystal from Shihab and said in a venomously calm voice, "This is indeed a grave matter. Wait here, I will inform the Caliph myself." Jafar was gone for a few minutes, then returned with the palace guards. Jafar shouted in a loud voice, "Seize this sorcerer. He has brought a cursed stone from the world of jinn to place a curse on the Caliph and seize the throne." Shihab was so shocked he almost lost consciousness. He was taken to the deepest dungeon in the palace prison. And no sooner was the door locked behind him than the sound of a great explosion shook the entire palace. The witch stormed the prison and shattered its walls. She grabbed Shihab by the neck and lifted him into the air, screaming, "Where is the stone?" Shihab said with difficulty, "The Vizier took it." The witch took off flying through the air, carrying Shihab with her like a doll. She reached the Vizier's house and set it on fire. The guards came out and a small battle began. Shihab took advantage of the chaos and escaped into the burning house. He found the Vizier's safe, and using his intelligence in solving puzzles, he opened it, took the crystal, and escaped through a back window. Shihab left the city in disguise, now a fugitive from two enemies, the Vizier and the witch. He knew he had to understand the secret of the crystal to find the cure. He remembered ancient legends about the Observatory of Wisdom, a secret observatory built by the first sages in the heart of the desert. A deadly journey across the barren desert began. The witch was chasing him in the sky, while the Vizier had summoned the Mythath, an ancient race of humans with thick black skin and blue eyes, known as the most skilled riders of giant desert scorpions. And in the middle of the desert, a fierce sandstorm hit. And in the heart of the storm, a three-way war began between the flying witch and the scorpion riders. The battle ended with the demise of the witch and all the scorpion riders, with only the Vizier, Jafar, managing to escape. After the storm subsided, Shihab continued his journey, finally reaching the Observatory of Wisdom. It was a great circular building, half buried under the sand. And in the heart of the observatory, he found a complex astronomical device. He placed the crimson crystal in its designated place and waited for nightfall. When the moon rose, its light fell on the observatory's lenses, gathering into a single powerful beam that fell on the crimson crystal. The crystal glowed with power and projected a stream of images and symbols onto the observatory's walls. Shihab saw the whole truth. The star was not a curse, but a warning and a cure at the same time. It carried the image of a small desert plant with silver flowers, and the method of making the antidote from it. And more dangerously, he saw that the plague was not fate, but man-made. He saw Jafar making a deal with sorcerers from distant lands, buying plague seeds from them to spread in the city's wells, then using the crystal as a scapegoat, and appearing as the savior to seize the throne. And at the moment Shihab discovered everything, Jafar entered the observatory. Jafar laughed a thunderous laugh and said, "You have done the hard work for me, little astronomer. Now, I will take the crystal, and you and your secret will perish with you." An unequal battle began. Shihab was a scholar, not a fighter. But he used his only weapon, science. He used the observatory's lenses to blind Jafar's eyes with the concentrated moonlight. And he threw chemical powders at him that released a thick, choking smoke. And in the end, Shihab and Jafar stood face to face. Jafar raised his poison dagger, but Shihab, with a swift motion, shattered one of the old flasks on the ground, releasing a gas that caused Jafar temporary paralysis. Shihab took the crystal and the evidence and returned to Baghdad, which was in chaos as the plague had begun to spread. He stormed the throne room and presented everything before the sick Caliph. The Caliph ordered the arrest of Jafar and his sorcerers, and the physicians began to make the antidote using Shihab's recipe. The plague was stopped, and the city was saved. And to this day, the secret of the jewel remains unknown, where it came from or who sent it, but it delivered its message in the best possible way. And here, we reach the hub of the story and its wisdom. This story guides us to understand that knowledge is the most powerful weapon against darkness. Jafar tried to rule the people with fear and superstition, but Shihab confronted him with the light of science and truth. The hidden gem of the story today is that the search for truth can be a dangerous path full of challenges, and it may leave you alone and ostracized. But in the end, a single ray of truth is capable of dispelling mountains of lies and saving an entire nation. If you were in Shihab's place and were subjected to injustice and false accusation, would you have run away to save yourself, or would you have risked everything to save others? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to thank you, our dear followers, for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe to The Alchemist's Tales to discover a new depth in our next tale.